Vietnam is always on every American travel vlogger's must-visit list. Jaw-droppingly good food, super low prices, and scenery that looks like it stepped right out of a movie. But for an American traveler used to clear standards and full transparency, Vietnam can also feel like a maze, packed with culture shock and a few annoying traps. If you're about to grab your backpack and hit the road, there are some unfiltered truths about food safety and common scams that you absolutely need to know, so your dream trip doesn't turn into a nightmare. Today, we're going to lay them out honestly. These are personal experiences. Mine, and those of a few foreign travelers who've been through them in Vietnam. We Americans love street food, but your digestive system isn't used to it at all. Or, at the very least, you'll need a few days for your stomach to adjust to the local cuisine. Recently, a big wave of debate broke out on international travel forums when photos of a famous Bun Riemu spot right in the heart of Hanoi were exposed for poor hygiene. The food was left uncovered in the middle of a dusty street. The staff casually handled it with bare hands and no gloves. And there were even signs of insects right next to the broth pot. Soon after, local authorities had to step in, issued a fine, and temporarily shut the place down. On top of that, roadside shops often offer free drinking water, but they usually share a common cup. If you're not comfortable with this, you should buy your own water to drink separately. The napkins for wiping your mouth and the paper for wiping bowls and chopsticks are usually shared too, and the quality doesn't seem great, so it's best to bring your own small pack of tissues when eating at street stalls. You should also avoid ice at street stalls if your stomach isn't really up to it. Survival advice for you: don't just eat blindly because something went viral on TikTok. Watch how they prepare the food. Your best bet is to pick a place that cooks and serves right at the counter, so you can easily check the hygiene. Choose spots packed with locals, because the food there sells fast and gets made fresh constantly. And ideally, steer clear of ice at small, isolated roadside stalls, unless you want to spend half your trip in a hospital bathroom. And to be sure a place is clean, ask locals directly. They'll be more than happy to help you out, especially students and taxi drivers. One more thing, when you're enjoying street food, something pretty important to keep in mind is that street stalls usually use very small plastic stools. If you're on the heavier side, pay attention when you sit down so you don't roll onto the ground. It's better to shift your weight forward over your feet, or ask the owner for an extra stool and stack them together to sit more safely. The first and biggest mistake most American travelers make: waiting for vehicles to stop and yield to pedestrians. In the US, the crosswalk is king. But in big cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, traffic is like a river that never stops flowing. If you stand there waiting for the road to clear, here's the answer: you'll be standing there forever. So what's the bad move to avoid here? First, never panic, never bolt across, and never suddenly step backward while you're crossing. That throws off the motorbike rider's trajectory. The survival trick: walk at a slow, steady, even pace, and keep eye contact with the riders coming at you. The traffic will automatically weave around you, like water flowing around a rock. It sounds crazy, but it works perfectly. The second wallet-related pitfall: mixing up the palm or banknote values, and not haggling. The Vietnamese dong, VND, has a ton of zeros. A 20,000 note and a 500,000 note both have a similar faded bluish tint, almost identical at a quick glance, but their values are 25 times apart. Plenty of generous travelers have accidentally handed over a 500,000 note for a ride that only cost 40,000. I usually estimate that a 20,000 dong note is roughly equivalent to $1 USD. This helps me get a rough sense of what I'm spending when I pay for services, food, or shopping. A tip to pocket: double check the numbers before you hand over your money. And don't forget the haggling culture when you shop at traditional markets like Bun, Than, or Americans often feel awkward bargaining because they think it's rude, but here it's part of the shopping experience. Go ahead and boldly offer 30 to 50% below the seller's asking price, then negotiate from there. Or you can pretend to walk away. Sometimes they'll call you back if the price you offered is still a good deal compared to the product's real value. To understand this better, check out this video. In it, a young guy bargains a shirt down from 17 USD to 9.5 USD. However, according to many locals, that shirt only costs around 100,000 to 200,000 dong, roughly 2.7 Damaprice 200,000 dong, roughly 2.7 DOS Rice USD. And you could still buy one at that price. The next trap goes straight for your wallet, and it starts the moment you step out of the airport. Unlicensed taxis and freelance motorbike drivers. Taking advantage of the fact that you don't know the routes yet and aren't used to the local currency, these drivers will quote you 5 or even 10 times the real price. The most common trick is swapping the money. The Vietnamese dong, VND, has a lot of zeros. The 20,000 and 500,000 notes both have a faded bluish tint and are very easy to confuse at a quick glance. A driver will quickly swap the 500,000 note you just handed over, then insist you didn't give enough, or hand you back a wad of tiny, almost worthless bills as change. So when you pay for a service, carefully check the values as you hand the money over. Here is a clip of a foreign traveler who didn't pay attention to the bill he handed the driver, and ended up with it swapped for a lower value note than the one had originally given. The tip for Americans: never flag down a ride on the street. Download the Zan SM or Grab app right away. Everything shows up transparently on screen. Zan SM is a new Vietnamese electric vehicle company. Pretty good quality, friendly drivers. You can find more info about Zan SM in the video description. In the US, we're used to you get what you pay for. But here, some things you think are free come with an extremely steep price. The free bait trick. Street vendors will rush over all friendly, place a coconut or a conical hat in your hands, or lift a carrying pole onto your shoulder for a photo, all while chanting, "Free! Free!" But the moment you take hold of it, their attitude flipped instantly, and they demand a cutthroat price. The golden rule here: if you don't want to buy it, don't touch it. Forced shoe shining. As you're walking, someone will dart over and, without asking, yank your shoelaces or pull your shoe right off to clean or repair it, even after you've firmly waved them off. Then they'll demand a few $dozen for those few minutes of voluntary work. Just keep walking and hold on tight to your shoes. The unreasonable tipping trap. In the US, tipping is the culture, but at some cheap massage or hair wash shops here, they use that against you. They'll quote a super low price for the service, but once it's done, the staff will block the door and pressure you into a tip that's even higher than the original service price. Always ask clearly whether the price includes a tip before using a service. Vietnam doesn't have a tipping culture like the US, so if you don't want to lose money on tips, ask clearly before using any service. If you do want to tip, ask about the amount beforehand. Of course, you can negotiate the tip down with the person serving you if it doesn't feel reasonable. Unreasonable public fees. Even at public beaches, you might get charged just for resting on an empty chair for a few minutes. If you refuse this unreasonable, no receipt fee, the people running the protection racket may follow you around to threaten you and pressure you mentally. The simple approach is to ask before you use anything, so you avoid pointless arguments on your trip. Next up is a problem related to how you behave at sacred places. Vietnam is a country with a deep East Asian culture that places high value on modesty at temples, pagodas, and mausoleums. Americans are used to dressing freely, tank tops, short shorts, and spaghetti straps everywhere, since Vietnam's weather is pretty tropical and muggy. But remember, dressing revealingly inside a pagoda is a major sign of disrespect. Many places will flat out refuse to let you through the door. Always carry a large scarf to cover your shoulders, or wear pants that go past the knee when you visit spiritual sites. On top of that, excessive public displays of affection, like passionate hugging and kissing, aren't really encouraged here either. A gentle handhold is plenty. Also, Vietnamese people deeply respect the cultural values of their country. National pride runs very high, so you should respect that when you visit Vietnam. Recently, a tourist visiting Ha Chi Am wore an ano da, but with a bikini underneath. While walking around town, she was stopped by a local who asked her to put on proper pants to go with the D before continuing. They explained that the da is a formal, dignified outfit. The way she wore it tarnished the garment's image, which they found deeply offensive. And one last thing. Don't let your stomach stage a protest. Vietnamese street food is absolutely incredible, but the American digestive system isn't used to some of the local bacteria. Avoid ice at sketchy little roadside stalls, and pick the spots crowded with locals. That's your guarantee the food is always fresh. Don't get me wrong, Vietnam is not a dangerous country. In fact, the violent crime rate here is far lower than in major US cities. The people are, for the most part, incredibly friendly and welcoming. Vietnam isn't dangerous at all, on the contrary. It's safe and genuinely fascinating. The bad stuff above is really just a difference in lifestyle. As long as you stay open-minded, observe a little, and respect the local culture, you'll have a trip you'll never forget. That said, these scrappy, scammy little business tactics are a big scar that ruins the traveler experience. In this day and age, a bad experience doesn't just end there. It gets posted on Reddit, YouTube, and TripAdvisor, and spreads at dizzying speed. Scammers might pocket a few $dozen up front, but the price they pay is the trust of an entire international community. American travelers are happy to spend, but they need respect and safety in return. I hope the people and the government of Vietnam will keep working to build an even greater Vietnam in the future. and I believe Vietnam has the potential to become one of the world's top destinations, but that will only happen when they face the truth head on and clean up these tourist traps. As for you, be a smart traveler, arm yourself with knowledge, keep a cool head, and you'll have the best trip of your life. So, what do you think about all of this? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next travel guide. For now, take care, and see you next time.